One fight card, 7 matchups, and almost every single one features a fighter holding a clear advantage over his opponent. The problem? UFC history is filled with fighters losing despite having every measurable edge. So heading into Freedom 250, which advantages are real and which ones disappear the second that cage door closes? This isn't just another UFC event. It's the biggest stage the sport has ever attempted. The White House. 2 title fights. Former champions. Rising contenders. Knockout artists. Wrestlers. Specialists. Every matchup has a story hidden inside the numbers. By the end of this breakdown, you'll know exactly where every fighter holds the edge and which advantages could decide the night. Let's start with the main event, Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje for the undisputed lightweight title. On paper, Topuria owns several advantages. He's undefeated, he's younger, he's more technically sound, his boxing is cleaner, his defense is tighter, and his shot selection is among the best in mixed martial arts today. He rarely wastes energy and rarely makes mistakes. Gaethje brings a completely different weapon, violence. Nobody in the sport turns a fight into a firefight quite like Justin Gaethje. He's fought Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, Max Holloway, Tony Ferguson. He's been through every kind of war imaginable. Topuria's edge is precision. Gaethje's edge is experience and chaos. The biggest question isn't who lands first, it's who stays composed when things get ugly. And if that fight gets ugly, nobody benefits more than Justin Gaethje. But wait until you see the co-main event, Alex Pereira versus Ciryl Gane for the heavyweight title. This might be the most fascinating style matchup on the entire card. Pereira owns the most dangerous left hook in combat sports. His power changes fights instantly. One clean shot and the entire conversation ends. Gane has a completely different advantage, movement. For a heavyweight, Gane moves like a middleweight. His footwork, distance management, and striking variety make him one of the hardest men in the division to hit cleanly. Pereira's edge is knockout power. Gane's edge is mobility and volume. The question becomes simple. Can Gane avoid the bomb for 25 minutes? Because if he can't, Pereira only needs one opening. And speaking of dangerous striking, Sean O'Malley versus Aiemann Zahabi may end up stealing the show. Most fans immediately point to O'Malley's reach advantage. They're not wrong. O'Malley's length has frustrated elite opponents for years. He controls distance better than almost anyone at bantamweight. But Zahabi enters with his own edge, consistency. While O'Malley has experienced ups and downs, Aiemann Zahabi has quietly built serious momentum and proven incredibly difficult to break mentally. O'Malley's edge is creativity. Aiemann Zahabi's edge is durability and discipline. The longer this fight stays competitive, the more interesting it becomes. Because pressure has a funny way of changing expectations. Now let's talk about a fight that could produce one of the biggest highlights of the year. Mauricio Ruffy versus Michael Chandler. This matchup feels like a changing of the guard fight. Ruffy enters as one of the most explosive prospects on the roster. Fast hands, sharp counters, incredible athleticism. He attacks with confidence and carries legitimate finishing ability. Chandler's advantage isn't athleticism anymore, it's experience. The former title challenger has spent years fighting elite competition. Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, Paddy Pimblett. The biggest moments don't overwhelm him. Ruffy's edge is speed. Chandler's edge is battle-tested experience. If Ruffy wins, he becomes a legitimate contender overnight. If Chandler wins, he reminds everyone that experience still matters. And that brings us to one of the most intriguing fights on the card, Nickal versus Kyle Daukaus. At first glance, many fans think this is simple. Elite wrestler versus submission specialist. Nickал's advantage is obvious. His wrestling credentials are almost unmatched. Once he gets his hands on opponents, they usually end up exactly where he wants them. Daukaus presents a unique challenge. He's comfortable fighting off his back. That's not something many wrestlers enjoy dealing with. Nickal's edge is control. Daukaus' edge is opportunism. One mistake during a scramble could completely flip this fight upside down. And that's exactly why this matchup is more dangerous than it looks. Now let's move to featherweight. Diego Lopes versus Steve Garcia. This might be the sleeper fight of the night. Lopes has become one of the most exciting fighters in the division because he attacks everywhere. Standing, clinch, ground, it doesn't matter. Garcia brings relentless aggression. He's the type of fighter who forces opponents into uncomfortable exchanges. He pushes pace and creates chaos. Lopes's edge is overall skill. Garcia's edge is pressure. The fighter who dictates tempo probably wins, and if neither man gives an inch, expect fireworks. Finally, we have the heavyweight wildcard, Derrick Lewis versus Josh Hokit. Nobody needs an introduction to Derrick Lewis. The UFC's all-time knockout king has built a career on ending fights with a single punch. That's his edge. Pure, terrifying power. Hokit brings something different. Momentum. The undefeated heavyweight enters with confidence, athleticism, and far less mileage than Lewis. Lewis can lose minutes and still win seconds later. Hokit wants to prevent those moments from ever happening. Lewis's edge is proven knockout power. Hokit's edge is youth and momentum. The danger for Hokit is obvious. One mistake, one exchange, one clean right hand, and the fight is over. So let's go back to the original question. Which advantage actually matters most at Freedom 250? Not reach, not age, not height, not even power. The biggest edge on this card is adaptability. Topuria adapts, Pereira adapts, O'Malley adapts. The elite fighters always do. Every game plan looks perfect until someone gets punched. The fighters who adjust fastest usually win. That's why the tale of the tape only tells part of the story. The real fight starts when the plan falls apart. And on a card loaded with championship talent, that's the edge that could decide everything. Which fighter has the biggest advantage heading into Freedom 250? And who's the most likely fighter to shock the world?